I think we've been speaking to many businesses and public sector organizations, and they all are looking for choice as they move their workloads to the cloud. And what we're seeing is that a lot of restrictions Microsoft has created using their dominance in the on-premise software and not letting customers have the choice of moving that workloads to any cloud provider of their choice. And that's the reason for us to kind of bring this up and file this complaint so that the market can be open and customers continue to have choices.
And so from those complaints today, are you of the view that Microsoft currently, as it stands, is in violation of EU antitrust rules?
100% right. So that's the one which we basically want to make sure everybody kind of removes those restrictions and does not allow Microsoft to continue having these restrictive licensing practices.
And Amit, look, the Commission doesn't have to open a formal investigation as a report of this complaint, but what would you like to see change from Microsoft's perspective as a result of these complaints?
I think we would like the cloud market to remain and become very vibrant and open for all the providers, including European vendors, vendors like us, AWS and others. Today, the restrictions does not allow that choice for customers. So they started adding this restriction for many years as soon as they got into the cloud business. And they're not technical barriers to customers having a choice. So we would want those restrictions to be removed and allow customers to have and choose whatever cloud provider they think is best for them commercially and technically.
So just to be clear, these are contractual restrictions at this point that you're alluding to rather than any kind of technical restrictions on Microsoft's behalf?
Exactly. They keep on adding this restriction in the licenses, which are easy for them to remove. It doesn't require any technical changes or the work done to be done by Microsoft, but clearly be able to kind of just remove those restrictions.
When we look at the sort of cloud provider market share here in Europe, it's very clear Amazon, AWS and Microsoft hold the top two position. Google sort of number 3 at this point. Now, many will look at Google, of course, in other parts of the market, search and elsewhere, and say, well, Google has managed to enjoy a lot of strength in those other markets as well. And look at cloud and say, why isn't this just Amazon and Microsoft being more innovative than Google Cloud at this point to win customers? How would you respond?
Yeah, I think this is all about the cloud and the enterprise software market, right? And I think today what Microsoft has done is added this 400% markup to customers when they want to move to other providers. So these are all kind of not innovation. These are all barriers for customers to have choice and Microsoft to basically kind of own more and more of the cloud market and create another monopoly in that space.
So would you consider, if Microsoft makes the changes you've outlined here, would you consider dropping the complaint?
Oh, yes. I think we've been asking Microsoft, we've been talking to them in the background for many years. They've just not been willing to make those changes. But if they make those changes, we would be very happy. And I think customers will be happy more than Google. This is all about customer choice and let all the cloud providers have equal access to the market.
And in your opinion, would this mean that Google would be able to gain market share and compete more effectively?
We don't know whether we will win more market share, but at least we'll have a shot at that business. And we would want to make sure everybody has equal access and let the best technology and best commercial offer win that market, individual customer requirements.
And Amit, this complaint specifically is around Microsoft at this point. Do you have any similar concerns about AWS?
No, this is really a Microsoft created problem because they have been restricting the licenses that they sold previously to customers and then adding more and more license restriction as they start picking up cloud options for their workloads.
And we know this is not the first time there have been complaints against Microsoft Cloud in the European Union. The organization CISP filed a complaint against Microsoft as well, but there was a settlement between Microsoft and that organization earlier this year. Why, in your view, then, wasn't that settlement adequate enough to allay some of the fears you've outlined?
Yeah, if you look at the details around the CISP settlement, it's really not solving any problem. They didn't change any license capabilities. Customers don't really have a choice of any vendor they pick. They cannot run their Windows licenses on GCP or AWS or other many European vendor cloud services either. So Microsoft picks and chooses the people who complain and kind of do one-side agreements. But so far, none of them have changed the reality of the problem we have today.
And I just want to get your clarification on a report, Amit, that came out earlier this year that suggested Google was willing to pay CISP to actually continue its complaint against Microsoft. Do you have a response to that report?
There's no basis to that.
Many will look at Google, of course, and some of the other EU antitrust investigations against the company in other areas, not in cloud as well, and wonder how some of the practices that you're alleging against Microsoft, how has Google acted differently in some of those other cases in the past? And how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think we are talking very specifically about the cloud market. And if you focus on that particular space, today, Google has been very clear about open, transparent, and making sure customer flexibility and choice. We are a multi-cloud provider. We are a provider of hybrid solutions. We let customers have choices. And we keep on investing in a way that we can use open technologies and open standards to let customers really innovate on our products while working with an ecosystem of providers as well. So everything we've been doing so far, if you look at a lot of the invention Google has done, for example, Kubernetes and others, which have become the foundation of cloud, we open sourced it. So we continue to be a big advocate of openness and transparency as well as flexibility. And that's really what the premise of cloud was. Unfortunately, I think with the restriction Microsoft has created, the premise is not coming together anymore for many customers today.
And how more pertinent do you think your claim becomes in this age of increasing AI capability? We know Google has been investing heavily in artificial intelligence, as had the other cloud providers as well.
I think the cloud is a big foundation of AI. So if you want to innovate in AI, you do require a lot of good capabilities in the cloud. And then you want to have cloud to be an open opportunity provider in terms of like how do you innovate and how do you use that globally as well. So if we fix some of these problems we're talking about and let customers move the workload wherever they want to, they will be able to also take a lot of advantage of innovation in AI as well, which is really dependent on the cloud today.